Alright, so in this video we're on page 57 and we're going to be just reviewing how to solve these inequalities. Really on this video what I want to do is discuss when you're supposed to be flipping the symbol. Alright, and I'll go ahead and let you guys know that you want to flip the symbol when the coefficient is negative. Also, if we have a negative denominator, we would be flipping the symbol. Let me go ahead and show you what I mean by that. If we see a problem that says x divided by -3 is greater than 10. To solve this, to get rid of the denominator, we're going to multiply both sides by this -3. So if you have a negative denominator, that means you're multiplying both sides by a negative. That right there would indicate we need to flip the symbol. This cancels out, and over here we'd get a -30. Okay? So if the denominator is negative or the coefficient is negative, you flip the symbol. Now we're going to dive on in here, taking a look at number 1. So we have a constant of -6. When you add the 6 to both sides, the -12 plus 6, we get closer to 0, and we're at -6. So this cancels out, and we're left with our -3n, and it equals the -6. So right here, because we're dividing both sides by this negative coefficient, we will flip the symbol. Notice I turned it around, and the negative divided by negative is positive. So n is greater than or equal to 2. Now I'm not going to go over number 2. I think it's pretty easy. For number 3, we do have a coefficient of -10. Now I want to point out real quick also that this one is just a one-step inequality because we don't have a constant to get rid of. There's no constant to get rid of, which means that step we don't have to take. So the only thing we have to worry about here is dividing by the coefficient. Now because it's negative, notice that I turned the symbol around, and this negative divided by negative is positive. So I flip the symbol, and now just be careful, folks. This is considered rewriting it, where the alligator symbol is still eating the 3. And I just wanted to show you guys that because a lot of times on the SOL, the variable comes first in the answer choice. And so for this one, we do flip the symbol because of the negative, but I am rewriting it for the n to come first here in the answer. Now for number 4, there's something that I need to mention. On your sheet of paper, there's a little teeny tiny decimal right here. That was just a splotch on the copier. That's not supposed to be there. So you can kind of just ignore it and treat it as a 2x. And for this one, our constant is an 8.8. So we just subtract it on both sides and this cancels out. So this is the same sign, add and keep. And that's where I'm getting the -20.4. And because my coefficient is 2, I'm just dividing by 2. I did not divide both sides by a negative, so I do not need to flip the symbol. Some people accidentally think that if this number is negative or the answer is negative, that means you flip it. Nope. You're only looking for a negative coefficient or a negative denominator. Now number 5 here, this one is a really important problem. This one's kind of hidden with the flip, okay? Now the first thing we're going to do though is definitely get rid of the constant of 5. 5 minus 5 cancels out here, that's gone. And now when I subtract the 5 from here, I get a -18. But be very careful, folks. There is a minus sign with this y, so technically I have a -1 as my coefficient. And so when I divide both sides by the negative, that's why I need to flip the symbol, and y is now greater than in the answer. This negative divided by negative is a +18, so we're good to go. Now number 6 is a relatively straightforward problem. We're going to get rid of the constant by subtracting 4. -10 minus 4 is -14. And then we're dividing both sides by the negative coefficient. And negative divided by negative is positive. And I did flip the symbol. Careful though. I rewrote the answer with the variable first. Notice in my final answer, the alligator should be eating the 7. And here that holds true. Alright. Down here, we're on number 7. And for number 7, this is another one of those problems where the constant is in the numerator, so we can't get rid of it first. That's why you see the first step here is to multiply both sides by the 3 for it to cancel out. Over here, -2 times 3 is -6, and we're left with the numerator on this side. So now when you drop your line, you're just subtracting the 8 on both sides. Same sign, add and keep. I don't need to flip the symbol here at all. X is less than or equal to the -14. Alright, over here for number 8, friendly reminder about the double negative turning into a positive here. So really my constant's a +4. That's why I'm choosing to subtract it on both sides. Y'all, if you see a 9/4 here, just take 9 divided by 4 in the calculator and you'll see that it's 2.25. Or you could just ask yourself, how many times does 4 go into 9? Twice, and we'd have one of the 4s left over. Boom, 2.25. So when you subtract 4 from that, you get a negative 1.75, or as a fraction, it'd be a negative 1 3/4. It's up to you how you want to format your answer. I'm going with the fraction though, because there's a fraction in the problem. Now for questions 9 and 10, they are select alls, and I would highly recommend for these types of problems to just go ahead and solve the inequality like I did over here, and then go through and pick your answers. So for number 9, I'm just subtracting the 0.5 on both sides. The 1/2 is a 0.5, so I've got a same sign, add and keep. So when I get this answer, it's m is everything greater than or equal to negative 9. So over here, I'm just picking everything that is greater than or equal to a negative 9. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 answers for number 9. All right, and the last one on this page, here when you solve, we get rid of the constant. We subtract 7 on both sides, it cancels out. And this is another one of those ones where we've got to be careful to see that there's technically a negative 1 here, which means we will be flipping the symbol. And when we solve number 10, we get that u is greater than negative 8. So over here, I do not pick the negative 8 because it's not or equal to. And then we want anything to be closer to 0 or a positive number. So that's positive. This one's closer to 0, and positive. So we've got 4 answers for this one. And that concludes the video on page 57. Thank you.